Hello, everybody. Today's May 8th, and we're doing business and social. This is really fast.
Efficiency. And efficiency is the name of the game in the big tech these days. And how do you become more efficient? Well, you cut away every piece of flesh that you can.
Tesla makes its newest cut, interns. Weird. Because usually interns are pretty cheap.
They did point out that Tesla pays its interns between like $18 and $28 an hour, which is not bad. But they're probably getting some pretty high rated interns, probably working them.
Also a high cost of living everywhere Tesla is located.
Yeah, California and Texas.
A couple of interns pointed out that they had already spent thousands and thousands of dollars securing that housing in those places. And one of them said, I got an email at 8 a.m. confirming my plane tickets that Tesla was going to pay for, I guess. And then I got an email at 11 a.m. canceling everything, including my summer future.
Wow.
But they're not alone. Things are not good for these unicorn tech companies.
It's not even our only Tesla story. Peloton is going to lay off 400 employees as CEO Barry McCarthy departs.
This was a big story that came up out of nowhere today.
Yeah, I don't understand how Peloton had 400 employees to begin with. It seems like something that could have been done by like 3 dudes out of a garage.
Remember how bad those bikes were? They were like rusty and
Killing babies.
broken.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, the pets were getting sucked in.
Yeah.
I think that was the treadmill. And Google, once again, Rod Stewart says the first cut is the deepest. But in big tech, the cuts keep coming and they get deeper and deeper.
Google lays off hundreds of core, quote-unquote, employees and moves some positions to India and Mexico. This affected the Python team. Like they laid off a lot of core people that were doing a lot of good work on Python stuff that a lot of people use. So those people will probably be hired by somebody else. But still, that's... I don't know. I mean, there's a bit of prestige in having those people on your payroll if you're somebody like Google. So I'm surprised they would let them go.
But they were very frank about the desire to replace them with cheaper people. Like they weren't trying to hide that at all. They were basically saying, hey, what we want to do is fire our American workers whose tax dollars have supported us for a long time. What we'd like to do, we'd like to get a much cheaper employee, but we still want them to be in America.
Google urges U.S. to update its immigration rules to attract more AI talent. Yeah.
Do you think there was any AI talent maybe in that group?
Probably. A lot of those Python, PyTorch people. I mean, that'd probably be the people you want to talk to about the Python ecosystem.
We want to hire people who are desperate for money and...
Beholden to us to stay in the country?
Yeah.
I don't think, you know what? Once you get those H-1Bs, they don't protest about the Israeli war. And this is a red letter day. I don't know if this has ever happened before. I agree with the World Economic Forum president.
The headline is the quote from the World Economic Forum president is, "We haven't seen this level of debt since the Napoleonic Wars. 96% of the GDP of the planet is in debt."
Seems like an issue. It's not going to get better.
And we're on track to be at 100%. 100% of the GDP.
Good news for your children.
Doesn't that mean that the growth every year is canceled out by interest?
Depends on who you are. And what happens when you have times of severe economic distress? Well, booze, drugs, prostitution, all the vices, including gambling.
Dave & Buster's to allow customers to bet on arcade games. Isn't that like you just... It's a restaurant with arcade games, like, basically?
Yeah. Have you never been to a Dave & Buster?
It's not arcade. I mean, they have regular arcade games. But what they're talking about here is like
skee ball. And,
the basketball hoop thing. And they're saying that somehow through their stuff, I imagine there'll be an app, right?
Probably.
You could bet like $5 on who could sink more baskets. Here's a pro tip, everybody. Just have a $5 bill. You don't need to give Dave & Buster's a cut.
Those are illegal.
You can only use Dave & Buster's tokens.
Cash is an illegal relic of the past. What's wrong with you? It's just like gold. Wow, it's wild that, like we made gold illegal basically as a form of currency, and now it's like, oh no, we got to get rid of cash too.
But gold, we didn't ban gold for everybody because the central banks are loving some gold right now. They're allowed to buy all they want.
Talking about vices, I don't understand, why is gambling so exciting for people?
Because when you're in a bad place and you have no idea of how you're going to get out of it, that lets you fantasize that you could immediately get out of it. It's a quick fix.
It worked for FedEx.
Amazon gambled
Yeah.
for a lot of years.
Yeah.
They did some other stuff.
I always just lose money whenever I've been to like a casino, and I'm like, this isn't fun. Why would anyone
Yeah,
come here?
almost everybody does.
Yeah.
Like the people who make money at casinos are casinos.
Well, and you won't make money at the casino for very long before you don't have Shin good.
They still have the vision centers.
Well,
It's
you
just
have
regular.
to be able to.
AS, power delivery, are aging over time
But I imagine when Intel ran their numbers,
for a long time to run their numbers so like the best of the best chips could achieve. It's not going to be that.
yeah, we see that in cars, we see that in phones. We also see rampant cheating.
You know where we have that hasn't been bad yet.
But I imagine the or the AMD boardroom certainly got a kick out of this
The
head.
helm here, he's making all the changes, but he's fixing things that were set in motion like 5, 6, 8, 10 years ago.
And if those fabs actually play out and AI becomes the snowball that it is,
Even if that doesn't play out, having the fabs and being able to control.
well, my parents experienced this. If you have a landline still, they don't. Just
After someone made us think about it, yeah.
Just have a major news website. That's all you have to do to get customer service.
You know, it's wild.
Elon Musk, to be fair, he did see the automotive collapse coming before anybody else. And he did cut prices aggressively, which probably what you should do in that situation. But he's really cutting.
Because they also laid off a bunch of people. So what are the people like? How are they going to put this together? That factory just across the border in Mexico, maybe.
And you love to see this headline because
Vision Pro for half, a little less.
I like that they're all mint. New. There's one that's new, two that are new. The
one
rest are all
guy's,
mint.
this guy's got no realistic idea of what his Vision Pro is worth. But yeah, people don't want them. They're trying to sell them.
I should have worn my. Somebody sent me a Google Glass headset, which was delightful to play with, and just for this, I got like if we ever do that display case of technology that we're talking about, where it has like LED lighting and like the little labels, like Google Glass is going right in there. It's going to be amazing.
Cute little tombstones.
Well, another tombstone that you might need is the foldable phone, which we were assured were selling like hotcakes not too long ago, but apparently people are souring.
Sales of Samsung's foldable phones have nosedived in China. They're not holding up super good to the wear, from what we understand, but people are sort of tired of the novelty.
That was not the correct tab. What have I done?
Oh, it's making it weird.
Oh, we were so far back. Wow.
There
Oh,
we
yeah,
go.
yeah,
No,
yeah,
there you.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Oh.
Everybody, calm down. It's fine.
And Neuralink, we all know that Neuralink is the future, and soon there will be no privacy, even in your own thoughts, and thought crime can finally exist. But we need some good competition in that area to move that forward faster.
Tether buys $200 million majority stake in a brain-computer interface company, BlackRock Neurotech. What a terrible, terrible
Yeah.
name.
Not that BlackRock. Why would you not change your name immediately?
Yeah.
They claim that they're further along than Mr. Musk. And getting a new house 3D printed, it sounds like a fun fantasy. Maybe they could be better than they are now. I don't know, but this is cool either way.
The world's largest 3D printer is at a university in Maine. It just unveiled an even bigger one. And yes, you can 3D print a reasonable one-story house with it out of concrete.
It's 96 by... What were the numbers?
It's pretty big.
18 feet high, 96 wide, and I can't remember the third dimension. It was less than 96, but that's still pretty big.
Yeah.
Pretty impressive.
Now, you tie this in with there are some new building and material science people in Europe that have apparently figured out a way to make multi-story buildings out of very small amounts of steel and mostly stone. So like using these kinds of techniques. So we could see really wild, like stone, like traditional stone looking buildings that are actually cheaper than the glass and steel skyscrapers that we have here, which would be wild.
So you'll be living in your stone sarcophagus. You'll be eating the bugs, and all of your communication will be coming from space.
Satellite operator SES acquiring Intelsat in a $3.1 billion deal.
going to directly compete with Starlink.
Now, I looked into the details of this. This is not going to directly compete with Starlink at all. I'm surprised that they were able to do this for a $3.1 billion sale. I would not have valued that company at $100 million.
But look at the success of Starlink.
Yeah, geosynchronous satellites, 1980s technology, and a company that hasn't invested in its technology and is also more insecure than a wet paper bag. Yeah, it seems like a $3.1 billion deal. Seems great.
But there's a hype train. We have to get on it. And Razer, that's right, Razer, the hardware company,
King of hype trains.
they jumped on a hype train, and they jumped a little bit too early.
Razer made $1 million selling a mask with RGB, and the FTC is not pleased. They said it was N95. It was not N95. And not only is it not N95, they didn't even bother to send it off to the place where it would be tested for free to see if it was N95. So
They had to get it to market.
so the FTC is like, how much money did you make on that? Oh, the new number is 0. You made $0 on that.
Yeah, they literally took all the profit.
Which is wild because they didn't do that with AT&T, Verizon, and other companies when they were selling our location data.
Lobby harder.
That's
Yeah.
wild.
Razer does not lobby enough, clearly. And handheld AI assistants. I have a phone. Do you guys have phones?
Yeah, turns out.
Y'all have phones, don't you?
I have several, as it turns out.
I think it could do this.
Rabbit R1 first impressions. How I've been using the handheld AI assistant
This
so
has been
far.
a big story all week. Everyone's been very salty about this.
Let me just let you know, you can skip this story. The Rabbit R1, that's an Android app. You can just run the Android app on a thing that's running Android, and it's an app.
And you'll have a better screen, better UI, better experience overall.
I was really hoping it was going to be custom hardware that would respond really quickly, local language model, but it is slower than molasses. As expected.
Artificial molasses.
Yeah. Frozen.
The worst
molasses.
kind.
It's slower than molasses running down the side of a jar in January.
Now, the Google trial, it's wrapping up. Maybe, a couple of weeks, we're going to have a big decision there. It's going to be interesting. Google's argument at the base of it is that, like, hey, our position in search is actually not that valuable. Like, we're not gatekeeping because we're just a better product. It's not that we do anything to stay in control. But now we have an actual number to assign to the value of having that top spot.
Google's payments to Apple reached $20 billion in 2022, antitrust court documents show. So that was the number I was talking about in Monday's episode. It's like, if only we had a number to put. It's like, you're using a free service. How much is that worth? $20 billion. And I guess $20 billion isn't that valuable if you're a $1 trillion company, if you can derive $1 trillion of value from your services being used.
Oh, and it's still
Yeah.
a good portion.
That is an astronomically large number, yes.
Their product is just good. They don't have to pay. It's fine. Don't think about it.
And this is beautiful. I love this. As we've seen, Microsoft is doing everything it can to ruin Windows 11. I mean, the ads just, it's like, they're breeding like goldfish at this point. And so what is everybody doing? Well, they're doing the pragmatic thing.
Windows 10 reaches 70% market share as Windows 11 keeps declining. Windows 11 users are bifurcating into Linux users and Windows 10 users, which is just wild.
They Overwatched one to themselves.
Although a lot of that stuff is making its way into Windows 10 as well,
Yeah.
unfortunately. And if this is correctly sorted, yes, they are not improving either of those products in any way. In fact, they are degrading.
Microsoft says April Windows updates break VPN connections because they changed the way that networking was working without really giving anybody a heads up. Fun times.
Good job, guys. What could explain all this madness? It seems like maybe just an insane person is running it, but we know that they've changed leadership several times in the recent past, right? So how could that be?
Bill Gates never left. Insiders say he's pulling the strings at Microsoft.
What an image.
This article is written without having the context of what they're talking about. Bill Gates is all in on the whole AI, Copilot, blah, blah, blah. So, and then Bill Gates is issuing lots of memos, has a lot of stuff. See, Microsoft Bob. You guys remember Microsoft Bob? Like the personal assistants, like we're going to make your computer. His wife came up with that. I also think maybe this is a love letter back to hers. Maybe they can get back together. I don't know. But so Microsoft Bob, that was her idea mainly. And the idea was that you would just ask the computer to do stuff for you and it would help you do it. And it would be so user friendly that you didn't need to even learn how to use an application. And from that philosophy came like the Microsoft Office ribbon and like a whole bunch of stuff in Windows. So that's what he's trying to bring back is like, wait a minute, with large language models, we can finally realize the vision that we had 30 years ago. Let's do it. And also because Windows 11 sucks so bad that even he knows.
So he apparently directed the whole OpenAI partnership and everything. He saw that coming. And the other people in Microsoft weren't necessarily looking to do that, but they still follow his orders, it seems, based on these leaked texts.
And it worked out. I mean, he's not wrong. OpenAI is hugely valuable. I don't know how OpenAI evolves into Microsoft Bob, but
What about Microsoft Sam?
no.
Never
Well, you got
Microsoft-
Sam Altman. You can't call it that.
Oh, yeah. Microsoft Sam's before him, though.
What a dark world is like
The Rafflecopter.
Bill Gates like freeze dries Sam and they slice his brain 1 micron at a time and it really does become Microsoft Sam. And like that's Sam Altman getting revenge for having been freeze dried and put in the computer.
Ugh.
Well, maybe we'll all be translated into the metaverse one day. And I don't know if it'll be the actual Meta company that gets us there, maybe Microsoft, but I am sure of one thing. There will be a lot of advertising.
Roblox players to start seeing video ads in its virtual realms. These are going to be textures on buildings. It's just the good old standard issue advertising in video games that we've seen for the last 10 years, but it's coming to Roblox.
But importantly, almost exclusively to children.
That's so that
Which we have rules about elsewhere, but
they get used to seeing ads everywhere. Remember when remember it was controversial that Rockstar was going to do that with the billboards in GTA?
yeah. And now it's like, oh, of course.
And Huawei is, they surprised everybody. We thought that Huawei was going to die, and yet they keep winning and expanding their market share and putting out new devices. How are they doing this? Well, maybe in a little bit of a roundabout way.
Huawei secretly backs U.S. research, awarding millions in prizes. This is mostly higher education, academic settings. Huawei owns subsidiaries that then fund research. It's a tangled web we weave of finance, but Yahoo Finance has some of the breakdown. The essence and context of this agreement is the relationship between the parties shall also be considered confidential information.
They don't want you to know that they're investing in those things. Why would you put that line in there?
That's weird.
And Android, ARM is the sweetheart, but we've heard for a long time now, RISC-V. Hey, we're going to get RISC-V. It's going to be another open source platform. It's going to be great, and Android is going to be the first one to support it.
RISC-V support in Android just got a big setback. It is being dropped from official Android support. Think of idealists. A bunch of idealists inside Google looked at RISC-V and said, this is amazing. This is just what we need. The real world performance of this is not good. And so they said, well, this is a long time away. We shouldn't continue to support RISC-V because it is a drain on resources. And we just fired a bunch of really smart people that probably shouldn't have been fired. So we got to get rid of this.
Now, one thing that I'm sure that I don't want, I'm 1,000,000% positive on this. I don't want my phone to make more noise. I fight bitterly to have my phone make less noise.
It's true.
Google Phone starts rolling out audio emoji, and they're really weird.
Who asked? Like, how weird is that if you're going to be on like the bus or in public somewhere and you open up your phone and it's like, blah, 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 blah.
There was I think the T-Mobile Sidekick had this. Like, they had the really hilarious typing noises. So I remember, like, when you would flip it open, it was like,
Yeah, like a typewriter.
yeah, it's just like, oh, this is
Nobody wants that.
Who's doing this in public?
But over at Apple, their phones in fact are making less noise. However, not in the correct way.
Apple is working to fix alarming iPhone issue where the alarm just doesn't work. It just doesn't alarm. Like one of the really important functions, it just doesn't do it.
I don't even have an alarm clock anymore. I just use my phone.
No one does. And then all the iPhone users all of a sudden. Yeah. They're not sure why. They think it might have to do with some of the new stuff they added in terms of like mental health where it automatically, makes the phone less addictive. And somehow the phone is interpreting your alarm as that.
Oh.
I mean, if you get more sleep, it is healthy.
Maybe not for your economic prospects when you're not going to your job, but
The AI is sentient, and it's like, oh no, they need to rest. They've had a hard week.
This one was April 26th. Did we already do this one?
Yes.
oh, oops.
Let me cut that. Oops. And this one's new, though, and it has to do with the same company. And oh boy, does this show you how little financial sentience that you have in this world. They're going to take your money one way or the other.
Switching your credit card may not stop a streaming service's recurring charges, because streaming services and the credit card companies have an agreement where it's like, oh, you got an updated card. Okay, cool. We'll just go ahead and update your database, because they have an agreement. Like that's a thing, because otherwise people stop paying, and then that hurts their revenues. And credit card companies don't want that either, because they don't get the percentage of the transaction. So
it's Visa something or other. I can't remember what it's called, but I don't think Visa is the only one that has this. Say most major card companies.
This really wouldn't be a big deal if all companies had an easy way to actually cancel, but it's often very difficult to cancel and delete your credit card. I've seen it a couple of times where I've canceled a service and then something else showed up later, and it was like, oh, you enrolled in a trial, and then the trial ended, and then we started charging you $5 a month. And it was like, well, the fee for this was like $20 originally. Like, this didn't even exist. Like, why would you think this is okay? Don't do this. Delete my card. Oh, we don't have an easy way to delete your card. You can stop your subscription, but you can't delete your card. That's crazy. Why would you want to delete your card?
So that's the Visa Account Updater. So yes, when you get a new Visa card, they will actually just, without you asking, update all of your financial stuff with all the companies you do business with and be like, oh, hey, Krista got a new card. Here you go. You should have it. And while you're in Roblox looking at those ads, the problem is you might look at the ad, but then you're playing Roblox and you can't run to Walmart and buy it, right?
Right, of course.
So how do we cut down that friction?
Walmart and Roblox are teaming up to make virtual e-commerce a reality.
Isn't the whole joy of going to Walmart is you waiting to go till super late at night so you see all the freaks come out?
But they're not open 24 hours anymore, are they?
No.
No, not all of them, no.
What are the freaks doing?
It has to be a devastating time for freaks. They have to be at Waffle House.
Trying to break into the basement.
DoorDash. So not only can you shop the advertisements in Roblox, your avatar can try on things and play with the products in 3D, and then they'll ship it right to your house. Again,
But those Faded Glory t-shirts never fit the way that you expect.
let's remember here, children. This is a game just for children. And I imagine that Walmart will have to step up its delivery game. If you buy something in Roblox, you want it right now, right? And they got to keep up with Amazon.
Amazon says its Prime deliveries are getting even faster, with more than 2 billion packages delivered in one day or less, because it's gotten real bad.
Yeah, it's not great where I live.
During COVID, there was a dip.
Yeah.
It has kind of picked up. I've gotten one days sporadically in the recent past. And I'm not that close to the main town. And oh boy, I imagine this is causing some anger because people don't like System D. A certain subset of people don't like System D. And they're looking to take something that is iconic and change it.
System D wants to expand to include a sudo replacement. Sudo. I don't know. I don't know how people say that.
I think it's sudo, but I don't like that.
Yeah.
I like sudo.
It's run zero. So this will let you run something as root. It's another alternative way to run something as root. Now, Linus Torvalds and the guy behind System D, Leonard Pottering, I think, they have historically clashed over these kinds of things. They have very different philosophies about what it means to have a lightweight and lean system. And sudo is its own ecosystem of intricacies and easy mistakes to accidentally make your system insecure. Run zero is meant to solve some of those problems, but it's a fundamentally different approach, different philosophy, fundamentally a philosophical argument.
Haven't we seen System D introduce some really catastrophic security failures already?
Also, what's wild about that is that people patching the SSH server to better integrate with System D is exactly what created the SSH. And if you were just running vanilla SSH, you would not have had the issue. It's really interesting.
Think there might be some Chinese engineers working on Run Zero? Well, if you post photos of yourself online these days, guess what? You're going into the AI dog food. It's happening.
Photo sharing community, IM will license users' photos to train AI, unless you delete them.
Now, you can delete your pictures one at a time.
Wow.
or you can opt out your entire library. Now that opt out takes effect in 180 days, but the AI training starts in 30 days.
Neat. What an interesting way to do an end run around everything.
And what an interesting way to destroy the internet, because that's what they did. And last week we talked about, what was that guy's name? I can't remember his name. The dude that destroyed Google search on purpose for the ads. And now we're seeing more and more of what the fallout of that was.
This is the random blog article. It's part 2 of a 2-part series from House Fresh. But if you work in any way on the internet or depend on the internet for stuff, like this is, both of those blog posts are a really excellent breakdown of reality.
I actually wondered if you had like reposted the one, because we did one like from this guy a few months ago, but no, it's a new one from the same guy. This guy just runs a site that reviews air filters, and that's it. And he's upset because their articles keep going down in Google search results even though nothing's changed.
This is the kind of person you should read a air filter review from, period. Like, this is someone that has the appropriate level of obsession to find the information you need about air filters. And period. And they have the SEO and the backlinks and like and everybody that looks at this is like, wow.
They have the receipts.
This is the ace, top ace, Tom Cruise, I don't know how you want to describe it, person for doing air filter reviews.
I would not trust Tom Cruise for any reason.
Literally anything.
No fighter jet piloting or anything like that.
Maybe like really expensive restaurant reviews.
Yeah.
He would probably have a good
What
idea.
couches are best to jump on?
But it's not anything. The internet is changing, but also like Google has gotten so bad at search that this is a secondary effect. So like Google is trusting Reddit and user sites for recommendations now because their own algorithm and their own crawler has gotten so bad that it can't do it itself anymore. It has to rely on user sites and valuable sites. But the secondary effect is that sites like Forbes have noticed, hey, if we just put a bunch of random crap up here, we'll make money off of affiliate sales. So yeah, let's turn marketing agencies loose, generating tons of worthless content. And so Google noticed that, but Google couldn't fix it immediately. They actually just sent a memo to like sites like Forbes to say, hey, we're going to change the way the algorithm works and it's going to negatively impact you, but we didn't want to do a rug pull immediately. The way that they did a rug pull immediately with people like this.
Yeah. I think if you ever tried to look up any kind of information about like local gardening stuff and then you've had a giant website like not even related to what you're looking for pop up and it's like, yeah, you can totally plant blueberries, not mentioning that blueberries don't do well in your zone because you don't have the acidic soil for it. Like,
SEO is a disgusting practice, and now AI can do it really well. And if you think, well, that's probably just a one-off thing, like that's just that guy, some weird dude doing air fresheners or whatever, but no.
Encrypted email service files DMA complaint claiming that it vanished from Google search. And yes, it did. It's like, what happened? I don't understand. It's like the AI, the people, like Google just doesn't have the people to keep up with how people are gaming the algorithm. And so normal people that are earnestly trying to share good content with you, just don't have no hope.
or even just services. I was trying to find a plumber the other day and it was like a lot of like top 10 plumbers in this area, or have you considered this thing when you're considering this plumbing project? And I'm like, I just want to find someone local to me.
Didn't you tell us that your whole family's plumbers?
Yeah, but it's the project I'm looking to do is run a big water line out to our garden, and none of them have a trenching tool.
Just go around one.
Well,
You got to call the state people so that they mark stuff. Even if you know nothing is there, they'll just do it for free. That's fine. But you do that and you go rent the trenching tool. It's fine. We used to do that for network cables.
subscription is the main word that you came up with there. And everything is a subscription now. And it will be going forward more and more. Everything will be a subscription. But the thing about these subscriptions is you subscribe to a service that has X number of features, and then slowly over time, they pull those Jenga blocks out until you are just ready to give up.
I'm real upset about the first Jenga block in Helldivers. Spotify hid its song lyrics behind its subscription. So you can't see subscriptions or you can't see lyrics for songs unless you subscribe. Kind of like how you have to have a PlayStation Network account now for Helldivers, which is unacceptable.
For me, this wouldn't make me subscribe because if I'm looking up lyrics, I'm just going to do it on the internet. I never think to look at Spotify for that.
Till you won't be able to search the internet anymore.
Yeah,
They'll just return
it
you
just keeps getting
Spotify.
worse. Yeah.
And banning social media, of course, we're all going to have the TikTok ban pretty soon. And again, we can look at the rest of the world where things have been banned before to see exactly how that plays out.
Tens of millions secretly use WhatsApp despite the bans. So some countries have banned WhatsApp because reasons, and people use it anyway, or they'll use it behind a VPN, or they'll use it in some other scenario, even though it's not allowed in their country. Not that there's anything wrong with WhatsApp. I mean, I'm sure there's lots wrong with WhatsApp, but
Compared to the relatively, WhatsApp is probably not that terrible, right?
yeah.
I mean, if you're comparing it with, I don't know, Facebook Messenger, for example. And Instagram is another company that those people own, and they're trying to make it so that, because there are a lot of people, I guess, on social media who just repost everybody else's stuff. And,
Which, I mean, to be fair,
yeah.
we do commentary over it, though. Does that count?
But if I'm telling you that most of this is lies and propaganda, so I'm not really, I guess I'm still using it. Whatever.
Instagram goes after accounts that only repost other people's content. This is something that Twitter/X needs to do. Because
YouTube as well.
A lot of the accounts that Elon Musk has personally promoted are the worst offenders for this kind of thing.
I imagine it's probably, too, not a scenario where it's like someone's modifying it anyway. It's literally just a repost. We've had that happen with the YouTube channel a couple times.
Yeah. And in some cases, they're doing it to point out the insanity of it. And I kind of get that. But then again,
Is it transformative enough?
but I guess if you're just like retweeting, that's still technically their content. These are people who pull it and upload it as their own. Right?
Yeah. Make you think that it's yours, but it's not.
That's not cool. We're telling you that these are these websites. We're not pretending we wrote these stories. Some of them are really poorly written. Oh, yes. And if you are on Facebook, then the algorithm, right? That's what we're talking about with the TikTok stuff. The children, if you just gave them the raw TikTok, that's what the lawmakers want. But then why can't we all have that? Why does it have to just be the children?
A lawsuit argues Meta is required by law to let you control your own content. This is an interesting reading of the things, but basically what Ryan was saying, it's like, okay, why can't I decide? It's like, I would like for the algorithm to do this or not do that.
So this guy wrote some kind of tool that unfollows and unlikes everything on your Facebook, which renders it that basic scroll. Like you don't have the algorithm anymore because it doesn't, you're not following anything. Still got your advertising profile though. Wouldn't be 100%.
But they blocked his plugin.
Wow.
So he's arguing by law, he has the right to do that. I don't know.
You can, but you can't offer a plugin to make that easy for everybody else. I don't know. It seems to be Meta's argument.
I mean, you could not use Facebook.
Yeah.
Although more and more businesses all use Facebook.
It's really frustrating when you're like not logged in and you go try to look at a menu or something.
Interestingly, the EU is erring on the side of that. Oh, there was also, I think I forgot to include a link for it, but we'll probably have it next week. There was a bill in California that is trying to make open source AI illegal. Basically, if the AI is, telling people how to make napalm, you need either the AI to be cloud connected so you can know who asked it to make napalm, or you need to be able to shut it down remotely, which means that local LLMs would be impossible.
They're following the gun control template.
Yeah.
It's going to be exactly like that. Only the government and the government approved companies will be able to have AI, and you can rent it from them.
Yeah. That's not acceptable. We need to stop that.
Good luck.
Film at 11 or next week.
Friday. We're going over the AI section on Friday. We'll see you then. Bye.